So today we're going to be watching some feedback and just more like a highlight reels for my student and I. We went up and he was doing a check ride, kind of refresher, kind of mock. And I wanted him to go through the process, get the rust off right before his check ride. So we don't got the whole flight for you, but don't worry, we got all the highlights that you won't want to miss out on. So go ahead and check it out. Okay, so right now me and my student are at the end of run up. And looks like there's a plane near us, so we're trying to figure out of how to park near him without getting too close. So currently my student is doing a departure brief, making sure that we know that we're ready for the flight, while I'm watching out for other traffic in the run-up area. So we have two jobs here. All right. As you can see here right now, I've took over controls because I was moving the aircraft because there's other aircrafts coming into the run-up area. So when there's other aircrafts coming in the area, you want to configure the plane to be away from them and being able to put the prop blast behind us. As you can see, the grass is behind us, so we're allowing all the prop blasts that we have from our aircraft to be pushed out. And then he's finishing up the checklist right now, making sure we're going through that thoroughly right before we fly. So we just got that clearance for takeoff from the tower, and it was pretty quickly. So as soon as he said it, we were ready to go. We got around a plane that was just right before us. Yeah, so we got to go first before all those big jets. I bet you they were mad, but it's okay. So my student's performing a soft fill takeoff. Basically, he's keeping the nose off the ground because he wants to protect the nose wheel. It's like taking off in the grass, and we want to protect the nose wheel so the pressure of the nose doesn't go down. So he's keeping the nose up. As you can see, the nose of the aircraft is coming up, and he's holding it up, and then he allows it to go in ground effect, and he holds it there. And he does a really good job of keeping it in ground effect because we're trying to build up airspeed. And then he goes up. And I'm watching his airspeeds, making sure he's in standards. It's kind of a cool angle here because you have the plane pitched up at a certain angle to get it off the ground. He's calling out his call outs as far as like VX, VY, and those are just the speeds he has to be at for the maneuver itself. So there, our radios were down a little bit, so the tower was saying, hey, we need you guys to turn 050 because there's a big jet behind us, and they needed us to get out of the way as soon as possible, or turn out as soon as possible, as soon as practicable. And we turned on our heading, and we heard what he said. We read back, and we're just flying in that direction because there's going to be a jet right behind us, basically. There I go explaining it. So he wants us basically to turn out at a lot, as soon as practical, right? As soon as safe, that we're able to actually turn out to that heading because they are coming right behind us. I think that was my first, that student, it was his first time experiencing that. So I was explaining to him kind of why we did that. The volume was a little turned down, that's why we didn't hear him at first. Make sure that's up. Good. Yep, there it is. Kilo Juliet, contact regional departure. So now we're going up, and we're okay, so I was explaining to him because when he did pull up for this soft field, he pulled up way too high instead of keeping the nose basically right off the ground to keep it in ground effect. But it was getting that rust off. He hasn't done an actual flight in a while, so him coming back, it was actually a very good soft field from what I saw. So now we're getting to the point where we're going to cruise. And he just mentioned he's going to do his cruise checklist. Because now we're configured for a whole different flight configuration, right? So now we're cruising along. We want to have the mixture set back. We want to make sure some lights are off that we had previously for the takeoff. So each part of a different phase of flight, it's important to make sure everything is configured properly for that phase of flight.
Oh yeah, he's fast. He's gone. He's fast.
Yeah, we saw the jet and he took off right behind us, so we were laughing like, dang, that boy's faster than us. Let's see where we're at right now currently.
Here is, so look at your map. It's out there. Yeah, look at your map. Yeah, we got a good little distance. Yeah. So what I'm saying, if you follow this highway out, there's like the corner stores here, and you know, like when we turn.
So at this moment, we were actually looking for the runway, and I was explaining to him he was looking for it out in the distance, and he couldn't find it. So I was showing him that there's stuff out there that if we fly out there often enough, that we could find pilotage points like the corner store in the side to find in the general area where that airport is, because sometimes it's really hard to see, or there's just a lot of other things going on. So luckily here at Thrust we have like the MFD screens where we have traffic alerts, we have to show exactly where the airport is, and that allows us to be able to look down, see that. It's like having that second set of eyes that really helps us identify where the airport is. And so just like in Dallas, you can't trust any driver anywhere around here. You kind of have to be like your own set of eyes for everything. Same thing in flying, right? There's so much different traffic and people doing whatever they want to do. So even if you're the safest pilot, you could have someone not being the safest pilot out there. So I was explaining to him like, hey, we need to be careful just because trust no one and just trust yourself to be the best pilot as far as getting out of the way, doing whatever you have to do to stay safe. Yeah, so on this next clip here, we are doing a saw field. So I just asked the student to perform a saw field for me, and basically he's setting up currently to do this in the pattern. He's looking at the runway, constantly looking at his angle. So once we're 45 degrees from the downwind, we turn our base leg, and that's what he's doing now. As you can see, Brandon's eyes are shifting to the runway and then back to his screens often. And that's a very good thing a new private pilot should be doing, is to completely flying the plane outside and looking at the speeds inside. And he's doing a really good job here of transferring his eyes back and forth and scanning and flying the plane outside first, right? As a new private pilot, a lot of times as we're starting off, we love that screen because it's just like our phone or a TV that we always watch. But in reality, to fly a plane, you're flying outside makes you a better pilot. So as you see him at the beginning, we struggled a little bit as just looking at the screen, but now he's doing a great job, as you see, scanning all back and forth on that runway to test his judgment out to see how high or low or how fast or slow he is.
Traffic plus 561, turning final runway 18 tail. Good.
Coming around.
You said soft field? Yep. A little fast, right? So right, a little fast, a little high. Put the nose a little up and pull that power back to descend, right? So right. Alright. There it is. It's seeing the seat come on.
So right now we're on the final leg here. He's saying that he's stable and he's continuing to land here. So he's coming down at a good rate. He's basically in ground effect now. He's putting the aircraft flat over the runway, and then as you see, the nose of the aircraft came up. He's sinking, and then his nose stayed up. And he didn't let the nose come down until he finally wanted to bring it back down. That's a soft field, keeping the back wheels on the ground and the nose wheel up.
What happened was you pulled back, and your nose came back up because you had energy still. Yeah. And it was okay. You allowed it to sink back down. You kept the nose back up and kept it safe, right? Okay. And that was an important part. If your nose didn't touch the ground, so if you landed in a soft field or if you landed in grass, you would have been fine. You'd been fine
So we're explaining there, so he landed first. He had a little bit more energy than he expected. Landed on the back wheels. The plane wanted to come up because it still had energy, right? So landing a plane is all about energy management. It came back up, but Brandon did a good job of keeping the nose still up when he did float up, and he kept the pressure up. So he still came back, landed on his back wheels, and he protected that nose wheel at all costs. So when he's now at the very end, he put the nose wheel down, and it was safely transferred the energy back into the front wheel rather than having it on on the front wheel to begin with.
You kept the nose off the ground, right? Right. When you did float up, we had a little less energy, so it was going to come back down, but you allowed it to come down, and you kept that nose right back up, which was really good. So good job.
Let's see where we're at on this clip here. Looks like we're coming into land again, so he's performing. On this one, I asked him right after the soft field, I asked him to do a short field landing. So this one we have an aiming point in mind.
This is how it should be on a regular normal landing, because you're a little fast on the normal landing. Gotcha. This is better control of the speed.
So he needs to control the speed better to basically to hit his landing mark. So we're aiming for a certain actual point before we actually round out. As then we round out, then we will flare, and then we'll be able to hit our point. But he has to be at the right speed to get that energy management corrected to be able to hit his specified point on the actual landing.
For center line. Little left to center line. Right. Go ahead and go around.
So there I was saying that he was a little left of center line because he needed more right rudder pressure and he didn't put that pressure in. So if he would have put a little right rudder in using his feet at the very end, he would have got more of the center line there. So a good tip to always remember is if you already have pressure in, like you could start seeing the center line coming close, always keep using your feet throughout the whole entire landing because you don't stop using your feet through it. You just keep using your feet. And if you feel like you're going left, start using your right foot and put pressure there. If you start going right, same thing, put left pressure and you'll start centering yourself for that center line and then using your ailerons to correct for any wind drifts or anything that's going on currently.
To the left, but my nose was going to the right. Right. That means that you're correcting with your feet properly because you're adjusting with your feet to the right. But you didn't do anything with your ailerons to correct the drift. Okay. Because the wind is what's pushing you.
Because that day there was a good amount of wind drift that was going on, and it was not no crosswind, but it was a gusty type of day where we had to correct more for the winds than we usually do. So he got a little bit off to the side of that center line.
And you corrected with your feet after the fact, though. It took a little longer to correct with your feet. You could have corrected a little earlier, and you would have been on center line the whole time. Okay. You saw it after it went to the left a lot, and you didn't put enough right rudder in. Okay. Let's try that one more time. All right. Very soft landing.
As you can see, we try this until we get it, right? So we want standards for ourselves, and we have high standards for ourselves. And we know we could have done better on that one, so we're going to go back and do it again, right? And he knows now the feedback I gave him. Now he knows as a pilot, now he could go back and then now correct what he needed after the feedback that I gave him. And this student's very good at listening, so he was able to, the next landing we came in, he was able to do the landing perfectly, get at the right speeds, center back with his rudders to get back on the center line. And that was us there ending that turn, and he was calling his call to go to the next leg. Hope you guys liked that video. If you guys want to become a pilot, scan that QR code and let our sales team know that you got sent from the YouTube channel. That would really be awesome.